And we're back. BCP Podcast. Derek Williams, Quick Cut. Matt Cooper, Flex Sports. Everybody in the house, talk to us. We in the house?
Yes, sir. What's up, buddy? How you doing today?
Fabulous, my man. Derek, how you doing in the cave? No, Derek is out the cave today.
Yep. No caves today.
Well, hey, let's jump right into it. Another monster weekend. A lot shook up. A lot of things happening. And we'll just say the top of the week takeaways. Number one, Venice with another 50-point game. They beat up on Palmetto, who's a county above them, 51-16. Palmetto is traditionally a good, solid program. Venice always a strong program, but never saw a 51-16 final. Like, what was your take, Matt, when you saw that score?
I've actually heard Palmetto is supposed to be a really good team this year, and it seems like they have some success. But what it's looking like is Venice is really starting to come together. They're, one of my favorite players is C.J. Lewis, and he's making some big plays and being, the quarterback being able to connect with him. It seems like they're making a lot of plays. Plus, you have the other guy, Charles Lester. He's committed to Florida State. He's looked like he's locking down the defense. So now that they're all kind of coming together, it seems like Venice is becoming that team that's unbeatable again.
63 points against Northwestern, 54 points against River Ridge, 56 points against Manatee, and then 51 points against Palmetto. Venice is starting to hit their stride.
I think you guys hit it on the head. They're coming together at the right time. They're kind of like what Jesuit is doing. I mean, they're coming together. They're peaking at the right time of the year, and they've always got that big strike ability. You and I talked about that DN last week behind the scenes a little bit off the record, and I think he popped the big time offer shortly after. But yeah, I mean, they've got a big time program, and they're definitely putting it together over there. So that's good to see.
Yeah, you mentioned Jesuit. Let's jump right into it. Jesuit, Tampa Bay Tech, number 10 in our area. Jesuit Tigers, number 7, Tampa Bay Tech, before the rankings get readjusted. A 35-7 win over Tech. So definitely a good game, which everybody thought styles makes fights, right? And I was at that game, and Jesuit methodically made plays. They sustained drives. Then Tampa Bay Tech would come back and hit a big one. So the way Jesuit produced their points versus the way Tampa Bay Tech produced their points, the styles made fights, and it turned into a good game. And just going back to Jesuit's schedule, remember Jesuit early played Wharton, Treasure Coast, Columbus, and Armwood all in the first 4 weeks. And then, like Derek just said, they're starting to peak at the right time. Then a late game win against Bishop Verot. And then another late game win against Gaither. And then it's not necessarily a late game win, but sustaining enough separation against Tampa Bay Tech to win that game. So Jesuit seems to be peaking at the right time also.
Yeah, how did that game, I'm sure, I haven't seen that game yet. I'm going to look at it a little bit later on today. But, what was the flow of that game? I mean, what happened there, Preston, early on?
So Jesuit jumped out early. To a 21-0 lead in mid-second quarter. Tampa Bay Tech had some costly turnovers that kind of killed some drives. Jesuit, with a lot of misdirection, really kind of got Tech's defense unbalanced at times, and they maintained drives, 4 to 5 to 6 minute long drives, and then was punching into the end zone. Will Griffin, the young quarterback for Jesuit, had a good game. The running back, Justin Thurman, had a good game. I think he produced 3 touchdowns. And then Jesuit made some timely defensive stops. Bottled up Tech's run game for the most part. But then, Tech got some stuff going through the air where they made a lot of big plays throughout the air, and that's really how they got their points. And they, just like they've been doing all year long, special teams and their defense are producing, being able to put their offense in advantageous situations. I think it was a muffed punt maybe that that put Tech's offense on like the 1 or 2 yard line, and they got a touchdown there. So you kind of feel the swing and the momentum of the game starting to change. And as soon as that momentum started to change in Tech's favor, then Jesuit again would have another 4 or 5 minute long drive and just would kind of take the air out the stadium. So a really entertaining game. Credit to both of those staffs and both of those teams, because the fight was a dog in the fight on both sides, and Jesuit came out on top on this one. So a really entertaining game.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, for the first time really all year, Tech was in that you become one dimensional when you get down early like that, and you were saying earlier that when you get in a hole like that, you got to come out. Now you're a one dimensional passing team, and Tech hadn't faced that all year. But now they're in that position. They were able to fight back, and I'm going to break down that game later on tonight. I'm looking forward to watching it. But yeah, heck of a battle. I'm glad to see they fought back, and both those teams right now heading into playoff time. It's going to be interesting.
And you look at it on behalf. I think if Tech takes Jesuit's model to where Jesuit got hammered early in the season, had those losses. But then they filled those gaps where they were weak at. They were able to see those gaps. So if Tech takes that model, okay, well, we lost to Jesuit, and here are our holes that we can now. These are our holes. We need to fill those, A, before this massive Armwood game comes up, and then B, before they try and make a long playoff run. So it could be a blessing in disguise. Obviously, losses ain't fun. Nobody likes them. However, they could be a benefit if you use them properly.
And it sounds like talking to you earlier, the run game was maybe the difference in the Jesuit Tech. It seemed like it was a pretty solid game, a lot of action. But if Thurman, had 3 touchdowns, and it seemed like Rod was kind of getting stopped a lot, would you agree that maybe the run game, Jesuit's run game, has improved? We see a lot of passes to Willie, but adding that there, 3 touchdowns, and that's pretty solid.
I'll tell you this, yeah. So that's on the surface. I think looking at it from a critical standpoint, I think the balance which Jesuit had made the biggest difference. The play calling balance was very good. I think that's what kind of kept Tech off balance, if you will. So credit Jesuit staff for mixing in both the runs. And, Will Griffin's not 100% healthy right now, but the plays they ran didn't ask him to do a whole lot that would even hamper him even more. So it was just one of those good games. It was a well-coached game on both sides, and it was going to be a good game. And it turned out like the Tech fans are going to be upset they lost. Jesuit fans are going to be happy that they won. But the price of admission for that game was fantastic. It was a 7-point win for Jesuit at Tech. So, for us on the media side, it was everything we could have wanted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you start getting into these playoffs and you start looking at the different divisions, it makes it more interesting for us, because now you have the same record, the 8-1 with Tech and Armwood, both going to play each other this Friday. They're both 8-1. It's going to be a big district game. Jesuit, wasn't in their district, so even though they both lost to Jesuit, it's not too big of a loss for their schedule to get for the playoffs. But now we're going to roll into this becomes the most important game for Tech and Armwood to secure that district championship. And then on the second hand, Jesuit, they're obviously looking super solid. It looks like they're pretty much going to run their division. They're going to play Hillsborough next week, which is the division game. I really like Hillsborough this year. They look really, really good, but Jesuit is such a dominant force right now. It'll be, I think, hard for Hillsborough to beat them. But I wouldn't sleep on Hillsborough. They're a really good team. Anything can happen on a Friday night. But I'm assuming Jesuit is going to be the district champs in there and head to the playoffs as well. So it's starting to get really exciting, because it's not just a long shot for these teams. There's a lot of battle going to come down to the end. The other little trio we talked about was the Riverview, Sumner, and Durant. Gaither went down there and beat Durant, which we were talking about that a little bit last week. And so now that, but like, then again, they're not really in the same district. So it really wasn't a big loss for Durant. So they still carry a head high. Riverview now has to go down there and play them. Now, we talked last week about Riverview beating them, and it becomes this three-way tie. You know, we got the two-way tie with Tech and Armwood, but now we got a three-way tie, which really makes it interesting. I'm super excited to see that game because essentially I'm like an underdog guy. I really like Durant. I like Riverview. I'd like to see Riverview win that and really put that little three-way Sumner, Durant, Riverview battle. I'm not really sure what happens. I talked to my buddy about it, and he said that he watched the movie. Forget the name of the movie, but they basically flipped the coin, and that's what made the team go to the. I was like, I don't know if that's what's going to happen in high school, but what happens?
All right. So what happens? They go off off the state rankings. Okay.
Okay.
So if there's a three-way tie, if there's no clear head-to-head winner in the three-way tie, then they'll go off the rankings. So whoever has the higher rating then moves on. Okay. So before they would actually play a tiebreaker, which was great for us in the media, but definitely unfair to those teams because you either play the Kansas City shootout or you move it to a quarter, whatever the case may be. It's not enough for the bet to know who the better team is that progress through the playoffs. So now they're going to take your full body of work with your ranking, and if there's a three-way tie, the higher seed goes.
Okay. So as we look at it, and today, who do you think the higher seed would be? You know, they've all had pretty good records. That's going to be a close look to see if Sumner seems like. If I had to just make a guess, I think that they would probably have some of the higher rankings between them, and I believe on Max Prep they are ranked higher than those other two teams. So that might come down to that review. You know, their undefeated schedule. I mean, I know they got beat by Sumner, but maybe that plays a part in when they're going to pick the rankings. Just want to talk about the importance of these games because you start even when you look at the college level. And, you look at the ACC and you look at the SEC and these conferences, it plays a big part, and if you're rooting for your team to win it all, you're kind of looking at just that conference or, just that division, because essentially that can be the ending of their season, if they, so it's beyond just the team and who they're playing, like when you see Tech and Armwood losing to Jesuit, obviously it would, Tech and Armwood would love to beat Jesuit, but at the end of the day, it's not going to really matter when it comes down to the Tech and Armwood game. That's going to be, their biggest game of the season, and they're both incredible teams. But somebody's got to win it. They do overtime, so I mean, if at worst case scenario, but somebody's going to win it. It's going to be probably. I know the last few games I've gone to, Tech and Armwood, the stands pretty much sell out. It's 1,000+ people there. It's pretty even, half and half. Armwood people, all the alumni. I mean, it becomes one of the biggest games of the year, especially when you have the two teams having winning seasons like they are this year. So
absolutely, freaking 10 minutes away from each other.
And do you remember last year's game? It came down to that catch with Dallas, and it was very controversial. So there's a lot of a lot of beef in the air, I think, with both teams. This week is going to be a lot of practice going on. I told one of my media guys, I was like, it wouldn't be the week to go pop up at Tech or really Armwood, right now at their practice. They're really focused, and we're just a distraction. I'm like them on their big game this week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going by either one of those schools this week. And I know both those staffs real well. I ain't messing with them this week.
Yeah, focus. Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
But right now, in that District 8, that 4M District 8 with Sumner and Durant, right now, Sumner is rated ahead of the rest with the 8.7 to 8.6373 rating right now in that district, followed by Riverview, okay? And then Durant, and then Newsom. So, and remember, those top three teams all are one-loss teams. Okay, so this is going to be interesting coming down to these last 2 weeks of the season. This is going to be really interesting.
I agree.
All right, so what about now? Hey, I told folks that if they're listening to the podcast last week, Riverview versus Manatee. Riverview beats Manatee 21-14. And I said, don't sleep on Riverview on their record. They are better than their record shows. And Manatee at one point, we had them as a top 5 Sweet 16 team, and now they've dropped 2 in a row. And I think even that Manatee game was a homecoming game, and they lost to Riverview at home 21-14. What was your reaction when you saw that score, either one of you?
Well, I mean, like it's Sarasota Riverview. I've always got this. We got Tampa Riverview, Sarasota Riverview. It's just they're always a blue collar, scrappy team. They've got big timers down there. There's always, a handful of kids that are just high level players, and it's like you said last week. It was going to be a heck of a game. And when you look at Riverview's schedule, they've gone up against some big time teams. And some of their losses are against some of those teams. Buholtz, for example, is one of them. Buholtz is 8-0 on the year, and so they've taken some losses to teams that have really good records. So yeah, that was kind of a predictable battle right there. And sure enough, Sarasota Riverview got them. So we'll see what happens.
Oh no, yeah, it looked like it was a 1 touchdown game, and that's the thing about football. Any Friday night, any team can win, and when you got a team like Riverview Sarasota, they're traditionally a pretty solid team. They could go down and beat any team, so they're tired of taking their losses, and they came down and put the work on Manatee. Maybe Manatee was distracted from the homecoming stuff and just didn't really, go as hard as they normally do. But either way, a win's a win. So congrats to the Riverview Sarasota.
We touched on Gaither and Durant not too long ago. However, I kind of felt like that Gaither big win was coming, especially when they got into that overtime game against Jesuit last week. Then they jumped right into a Durant game. It just felt like Gaither may have found something that had been missing this season, okay, because they've had some really good games and a tough schedule. That Wharton game was a 1-point loss. The Sumner game was close until the fourth quarter. The Tampa Bay Tech game, they found their groove kind of like in the fourth quarter. The Hillsborough game was a dogfight. And then they got a big win versus Bloomingdale. Jesuit was overtime. It kind of felt like a win was supposed to be theirs, okay? So that Gaither-Durant game was definitely interesting. Gaither won 35-21. But let's move over to Calvary Christian over Lakeland Christian, okay? Calvary Christian doesn't get enough love. And Calvary Christian under Reggie Kroom has had a really good offense, man, for like the last 5 years. And they sling that ball around their offense. They have some athletes. They have a stingy defense. Calvary Christian over Lakeland Christian, who we had ranked. That score ended up being Calvary Christian 35, Lakeland Christian 7. What are your reactions on that? Matt, you go first.
That's a big win there. I was thinking it would be a closer score, but the better team showed up and put the work in on this Friday night.
Where was that played
at? Not sure, but I would assume Calvary.
Calvary probably.
Yeah, probably Calvary by that score. I'd probably assume Calvary.
Yeah,
let's just.
Yeah, I would be curious on that. It's that's that probably home field advantage probably had something to do with that quite a bit. I haven't watched a lot of Calvary film this year, but I probably need to. So I couldn't really talk much about them, but that's an impressive win anytime you're playing against Lakeland Christian. So yeah, let's. Who do they got on the schedule coming up, Calvary?
So Calvary, that was at home. All right. That was at home. Now, this is on the back of beating Clearwater 27-3. Before that, they beat Trinity Catholic 31-3. Before that, they beat Berkeley Prep 28-21. Before that, they beat Wildwood 57-6. Okay, their only losses on the season have come by the hands of Carewood Day 56-34 and Newberry 24-21. So Calvary Christian has a solid schedule, man. I'm impressed by this win over those teams that we named. Berkeley Prep, Trinity Catholic, Lakeland Christian just in the last 4 weeks, and Clearwater, who's one of the better public schools over in Pinellas County. That's a strong 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, It really is, and it looks like they finish up with Dunedin and Holy Trinity over in Melbourne, and they should be able to handle those two games. I would anticipate them finishing the year 8-2, and are that final game against Holy Trinity should be a good one. Let's see where that's at. That is actually they're playing in Melbourne, so I'm not sure what kind of implications are for the playoffs coming down with that one or record wise. But yeah, they could finish the year 8-2 heading into the playoffs. That'll be interesting. Yep, very very interesting.
And while you just were speaking about them, Carrollwood Day School, it seems like they're having a pretty solid year as well. What do you think about them, Preston?
CDS has been as a talented of a team for like the last 6 to 7 years. Now, just because they were really talented doesn't necessarily mean that talent translated onto the field. This feels like it's different. All right. Now, every new coaching staff has to have a chance to build their coaching staff, and those staffs have to have a chance to gel. You're talking about 7 to 8 grown men who all think they know more football than each other. You got to figure out what works, and everybody has to kind of find their role. And Coach Marshall over at CDS, I think that's what he was going through early on in his career, was just kind of finding the group of grown men that gel together and worked well together. Well, now it might just be happening. So you have a good staff. You have talent, and you continue to bring in talent, and now it seems like it's paying dividends. So kudos to CDS with what they have, a number of prospects, a number of options, and now it seems like they may have found their groove.
I was going to say they closed the year too with Gulliver Prep coming up here to Tampa. If you guys around the area want to see some South Florida teams, this is an opportunity. Gulliver Prep's loaded. Coach Sims over there runs a really good program. They sent me their whole season last week, broke them down. They got a little linebacker over there, number 7, that's just off the charts. Man, he's a strong safety / linebacker type. They got a big time cornerback, 6'2", way under the radar. We're going to talk about him here in a little bit. But they got they got a kid coming off the edge over there. So that's going to be a heck of a game, Gulliver Prep. So that's interesting. Yeah, they close the season with Gulliver Prep coming to Carrollwood.
Yeah, ever since I've been following football, high school Tampa football, Carrollwood Day, CDS, they've always kind of had just like, just a really cool vibe to them. There's always like really popular players on the team that are, 3 and 5 stars. Having all those great players, I always wondered why sometimes they weren't a little bit better than they were. And so to see their schedule now going 5-1, it looks like they're meshing. And part of what I noticed the last two seasons was maybe it was their quarterback issues, but it didn't seem like they couldn't get the ball to some of these star players. And so so when I would see them play again, when I watched their game against Clearwater Central CCC, that was a really good game, but it seemed like CCC really dominated and they weren't able to capitalize. Whereas like the defense of CDS have always been really well, have done really good. And so now I'm seeing a couple transferred this year, and I saw Magwood, and I saw them in the spring, him quarterback, which I was like, okay, so he transferred from Seffner Christian Academy over to Carrollwood Day School. And Magwood, to me, has always been just a really great quarterback and just all around, a great guy, great athlete. So to see him go there and now seeing a whole bunch of success, and I'm not sure if he's getting all the playing time. Looks like they have another quarterback too, and they're rotating them both. But maybe Preston, can you give me a little input on Jordan Magwood a little bit?
Love Jordan Magwood. Sharp arm, really good with his feet, really good athlete. I think he stands about 6'1", 6'6". But then they had Jake Calignio, sorry if I messed his last name up, who's also a quality athlete and has a big arm. So I think they were kind of going through their quarterback rotation. I'm not totally sure how they're rotating quarterbacks, but just looking at the statistics, Magwood probably gets the bulk of the reps. But Jake is a really good quarterback also. So I kind of knew that they were going to have a conversation about quarterbacks often in their locker room. We'll just leave it at that. There was going to be a coaching staff conversation about their quarterback situation, as has happened in plenty of places. However, whatever the rotation is, it sounds like it looks like it's working out. But two good quality quarterbacks in their stable. Shoot, even before Magwood got there, when Jake became the starter, remember they had two quarterbacks behind him. They had a freshman who was coming up that people were excited about. They had Alante, excuse me. Yeah, he was there. And he had been the starter before Jake became the starter. So they had some decision to make at quarterback prior to. So Carewood Day, and that's kind of like half the problem when you're a talented school, is that you're going to acquire a lot of talent. And the biggest thing about coaching, in my opinion, the biggest thing about coaching is managing personalities at any freaking level. How do you get these personalities to produce for you on the field? So when you were talking about, hey, they've always had a lot of talent, well, how come they're not winning more? Well, it's just not on the field. You've got to be able to, how am I going to get this star player the ball more? How am I going to get this star player the ball? How am I going to get him on the field more? How am I going to keep his dad happy? How am I going to keep his mom from jumping down my throat? It's a lot of things that go on. You're managing personalities within that football community in that space, which is a hard thing to do. So I think Coach Marshall over at Carewood Day might have figured that out. And he's also a first-time head coach and a young head coach. So you got to give him time to kind of figure that out. All right. So I think that's probably what's happening.
No, I was going to say, and also, when you think about positionally, when you have, let's say you've got a good lineman, well, there's 5 spots available. They're going to find their way on the field. You've got a good running back. Well, you're going to have your opportunity to get on the field and get some carries. Wide receivers, there's 3 or 4 of them all the time on the field. Linebackers, same thing. You got 3 or 4 on the field at all times. Quarterbacks at one spot, that is so difficult to create that blend, that perfect percentage, because there's only one of them out on the field. And you could see even at the college level, these guys are trying to find that perfect spot. And it's very hard because once you got your go-to guy, that's the guy you almost have to stick with. And it's a really delicate situation. And it's unique to the quarterback position because it's hard to, like I say, if you've got a good running back, if you got 2 or 3 of them, you can find that split and ability to get both of those guys on the field at the same time or rep one in and out. But quarterback's just a hard position to do that for. So it's kind of unique to that position too a lot. But
yeah, it's good to see that the quarterbacks are. Yeah, no, it's good to see that the quarterbacks are meshing well together and being able to play well together. Because I have seen where the competition's almost too much for each guy and the ego type of thing, and it's hard for them both to play and do what's best for the team to win. Carewood Day School, just to kind of shout out some of their players that are, we got Bredell Richardson, Tavoy Fegan. He's committed to Clemson. Anthony Carey, I think he committed to Michigan. You have a lot of players on that team, just 3 to 5 stars. It's a very attractive team. I always really was interested in them. I'm excited, like Derek said, to see that last game against Goldberg Prep. I think I'm actually going to go see that. It's always fun to see a Miami team, and they're coming here. So why not? Let's go check that game out next Friday.
Matt, now we kind of felt there was going to be a good game between Berkeley and East Bay. Looks like we may have been wrong. Berkeley Prep 42, East Bay 0. Berkeley Prep scored 21 points in both halves. That's pretty impressive. Thoughts?
Yeah, I know it was a good. I'm sure that there was a lot of anticipation with East Bay. I know that was the one game that they were. Every team, and it's always different teams that you kind of like. You at the beginning of the season, you're like, that's the team I want to beat, and that team might not really look at you as a team that they want to beat. You know what I mean? And I actually talked about that with a coach, with one of the East Bay coaches, and it was like the Riverview game. Riverview, they start their season off like, yeah, I really want to beat East Bay, and that's like a lot of their focus is on beating East Bay in that season. Whereas East Bay, obviously they want to beat Riverview as well, but I think Berkeley Prep was one of their challenges for the year that they really wanted to go in there and do really well. So Berkeley Prep, though, they have a really good defense, and so they pretty much seems like they really handled East Bay pretty well. And once you kind of get these teams down, sometimes it's hard for them to recover. And it seems like Berkeley Prep just kept steamrolling them. Nonetheless, it's not the worst case scenario for East Bay. They're going to win their district. They'll be district champs this year again, I believe. And so they'll be able to go to playoffs and go have fun. But it's good to see these challenging games, and I'm sure that even though East Bay lost, it's still a win in their eyes. There's a lot of learning when you get to go play those hard teams like a Berkeley Prep. Win or lose, you're going to learn. One person that I definitely wanted to shout out, I know we've kind of joked around about Sneed, but when you go and look at Sneed, the running back for East Bay, we didn't really put him in the rankings last week, and after I was kind of looking at just the rankings in Florida in general, and he is definitely somebody that, I would like to see him get more offers and see him do, because he actually, he's already has over 1,000 yards, I believe, for the season. Yeah, so he's actually, as far as yards, East Bay is a more running of a team. So he's going to get the ball most of the time, obviously. But we did when I see these Tampa players that are really dominating the field like he does do. He's great. He had a touchdown against Riverview as well. He's had a lot of touchdowns this year as well. And so he's really made it happen. It's unfortunate they didn't beat Berkeley Prep, but they're going to be district champions. They'll be able to go and take their talents to the playoffs. And, I think if he can continue running hard, they can challenge some of these other teams they're going to play.
Absolutely. The thing with East Bay is kind of comes in with the law of attraction. East Bay traditionally just has been a blue collar school. They just work and grind. And it's nothing like bright lights about them. So they don't get a lot of attention. But then when you go kind of move the rocks around a little bit, like you did about Sneed, you're like, yo, this kid Sneed is kind of, he's pretty good. Let's start there. And then he's producing. Let's start there. And then East Bay, you might not know, is 6-2 team. The only teams they've lost to is Riverview and Berkeley Prep, which those teams have 3 losses between the two of them. So there's probably a lot that you can say about his production fitting in with the success of the team.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I would I would back that up and say, they are and they always have as long as, they've always been a run heavy team focused on the run, misdirections, all that good stuff. But the running game carries them. So, you mentioned with the tech earlier becoming one dimensional. When you're one dimensional and you can throw, it's one thing. But when you're one dimensional, but you're primarily a running team, that's going to give you some issues. And it sounds like Berkeley Prep got the jump early. And, you probably replay that game and it'd be a heck of a lot closer. If they could have maybe scored first or, maybe extended an offensive series, 2 or 3 offensive series, slowed the game down a little bit. But, they've always been a run heavy team. So when you become one dimensional and you're that run heavy team, you're going to have some issues. But yeah, always a blue collar team, always a run focused team. But yeah, no doubt.
Man, let me give a quick story. I'm about to show my age. My junior year, we're 7-0. We got to go down to Gibsonton, down to East Bay to play also 7-0 East Bay, right? We're Big Bad Hillsboro, the most talented team in the Tampa Bay area in Hillsborough County. There's no way, East Bay, they can't play with us. We're going down to East Bay. We get down there. And we watched them on film, and they were good, but they ain't played us yet. All right, they ain't played us yet. They ain't us good, man. Their offensive coordinator Tyler Schumann. I probably screwed up his last name. All right, he was their quarterback then, and he was a 6'2" big dude. Right. And they used to run at that time. They had the wing T element and the double wing element, and they used to ride the triple option. And he used to ride the running back in the mesh a yard and a half, 2 yards past the line of scrimmage and pull the ball super late and would be gone. It was the most impressive thing. And I think, this is what I think, they made the rule for him. The way that he rode that mesh, it would screw everybody up. And it was the most beautiful thing. Like, now that I'm the age that I am, you can appreciate it. Back when I was 16, 17 years old, it sucked. Moral of the story, we went down to East Bay and lost. Okay? So we lost, and he was a fantastic quarterback and ran that offense to a T. I've never seen anybody outside of Tim Tebow ride that mesh the way that he did. I tell that story to anybody who thinks East Bay has been a very good program for a long, long time. A very consistent program.
Yeah, they take their players and they build a formula around their players. And, when even going back, 10, 15, 20 years, they didn't have the quite the population that they do now back then. So you had to take what you had and then just kind of put a system together in place. And that, like you just said, it's hard to find out where the ball is going or where you're getting hit from. And then after that, you got a guard or someone just crushing you from the blind side. So yeah, they can wear you out. They have always been like that. But yeah, if you can get up on that system though, like Berkeley Prep did, yeah, it becomes a little bit. But yeah, go ahead, Matt. What are you saying?
Oh yeah, I was just kind of looking at their district. So their district had Bloomingdale, Leonard, and Spoto. So they're gonna go ahead and win their district. As I have the district up looking at it, Spoto, let's give them a shout out. They got their first win this week. They have we talked about Jesse, their wide receiver. He man, I just watching his film, he likes, he shares a lot of his content on social media, so I get to see it like that. And I encourage all players to do that. A lot of them are starting to get their videos and share them the night of the game, and it helps us to see it. It's high school, so it's not live on TV and stuff like that. So seeing Spoto get the win, although it was Brandon High School, it's not like the best. I like Brandon High School too. They have a strong team, so that was a pretty competitive match there. And seeing, I talked to Jesse, the wide receiver, a few weeks ago. And he was down. He's like, man, I'm doing all I can. I got 2 touchdowns today, and we still took the W. I'm losing my love for the game. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, just keep playing, keep working hard. You're really good. And so I'm glad to see, it's tough to lose every game, especially when you're a really good player and you're really trying to make a difference in your life as well. And so congrats to Spoto for getting their first win. Congrats to Brandon this year. They have 2 wins. I know we always talk about the best teams in the county and stuff like that, but it's nice to give a shout out to these other teams. So Brandon, if you guys don't know, they didn't win a game for about 5 years. Last year they won their first game against Freedom, and so that was pretty exciting for their program. I know they got a new coach. I've talked to him a lot. Became pretty good friends with him. He's a great guy, great coach. Seems like he's putting the elements together. It's their first year. They got 2 wins this year. So, it's kind of like the Dion effect. They doubled last year, so they got they got a little, they got their coaching and their team starting to come together. So Brandon's got 2 wins. Brandon now this week is going to be a big game for them. Again, they can get another W. They're going to play Chamberlain. Chamberlain, the same thing. They're 0 for 7. But I'll tell you this, Chamberlain's coming for their win too. So, it's not like the Tech Armwood type of game, but to see, I think a Brandon Chamberlain game would be a competitive little game to watch, in our county for 2 of the teams that are trying to rebuild programs. Seems like they both got new coaches this year. I think we spoke to Spoto's new coach. He seems like a great guy putting their little program together. Chamberlain, I went there in the spring. Same thing. They got a good little quarterback, and they got a couple key players. If they can kind of come together, it's going to be a good little game over there.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because those 2 programs, Brandon and Chamberlain, those used to be 2 of the better programs in the county. All right. When I was playing, there were only about 18 to 20 public high schools. Okay. Now there's dang near 30 of them. So when they get pooled, when the talent pool gets diluted because the kids have to go to different schools, now those programs who used to be let's just say above 500 every season, knocking on 8 and 9 wins like Brandon and Chamberlain used to do pretty consistently. Now they're scrapping for a win every season. So, yeah, I'm with you on it's good to see those programs at the very least taking a step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And hey, if they get 3 or 4 wins next season and they just keep stacking up, they might, you just get better and better. And that's the hard part about high school football is that you only have these players for so many years and then you have to rebuild again. They go off to college, they graduate, and now you're looking, and one of the most challenging things that's got to be for a team is when you have a superstar quarterback, for example, and then he graduates, finding the next guy to kind of fill their shoes, and that's why these programs have JV and they have the pipeline of these kids and they know exactly 2 years before, like, all right, when he graduates, he'll be our next guy, and you have to because it just cycles so quick. So it's exciting to see all these teams having success and getting better and better every year.
All right. It is reaction time. And I got a question. Is this an overreaction? All right. So here goes a statement. You tell me if it is on point or an overreaction. Statement is Largo is the best team in Pinellas County. Matt, I'm addressing you first. Is that an overreaction?
Well, as a fan, I could definitely see them saying that. If you look at their schedule, they're 7-1. They did take a loss to Lakeland. Their only loss. Lakeland's a very strong team. But when you look at their wins, they're getting over 30 points a game. Gibbs was 21 points, but they beat Gibbs 21-6. They 34-0, 35-0. They're shutting out teams. They just had their most recent win against Lakewood, 40-16. As a fan, you're looking at your team like, let's go Largo, man. They're balling right now. But Pinellas has some good teams over there. I think one of my favorite teams, I think they're just like really good, or just CCC. They seem to just be able to beat their the strongest teams in our area. But I think Largo's having a lot of success. As to be the best in Pinellas, that's a strong statement. But they, as a fan, I would probably say they're the best right now in Pinellas as their fan for sure.
Yeah, on the public side, yeah, I think on the public school side, yeah, obviously with CCC sitting there, Pinellas has been interesting. It kind of you get you'll have like a 2 or 3 year window where one team's really dominant and then it'll shift. It kind of moves around all over the map. You like Lakewood used to dominate it down on the south end for quite a bit. And then, you go back even years before that when St. Pete Catholic had a lot of momentum. And then it's so weird how that county ebbs and flows. But yeah, Largo's got some good momentum going on over there. And, we featured some of their kids earlier on. I haven't looked at them in the last few weeks or so on game film, but I need to relook at that. But yeah, you can certainly make the case. Obviously, CCC's got would have a lot to say about that. But yeah, they certainly can make that argument right now for sure.
I might go with overreaction for right now. I'm a huge Largo fan because just like Largo, they're always good. They're always producing college type kids. They're always producing they always have a great season. They're always beating quality teams. But we can't forget the success that CCC is having this year and has had in recent years. I think CCC is probably your best team in Pinellas County right now. I think that Lakewood not having a very good season makes that argument even easier. So now you go in CCC. You have a Largo and a Calvary Christian conversation. And now the Calvary Christian folks always come back with like, yo, we beat Largo in the preseason classic. And I'm like, yo, are we really talking about a preseason classic as a like equivalent or some type of divider between how good you are versus Largo? I'm not counting a preseason game. All right, but we're gonna give Calvary Christian their due credit, is that they're playing well. Their scores look really good. Their competition that they beat look really good. So I think there's an argument to be made. So today we're just gonna start with I'm gonna go with overreaction and I'm going to put CCC as the best team in Pinellas, and a tie with Largo and Calvary Christian.
All right. You know,
All
looking at Largo's district, they got Osceola, Seminole, and Countryside. So they're 7-1. The next best team is Osceola and Seminole, both at 4-4. So, you know, Largo will at least be district champs for them. They're in the 3M. And this is where, you know, we like to watch these playoffs because the 3M starts getting challenging. You know, I think Armwood and Tech are 3M. And so you get to see like some of the other teams in the region play against each other. So it's going to be fun to see these teams continue to go and be successful. But yeah, Largo's going to be district champs this year. And, you know, so they've had a great season. So I can see if I was one of their fans, I'd say they're the best in Tampa or St. Pete right now, Pinellas. In Florida, my team's the best. You know, everybody's always going to shout out their team. So I could definitely see why somebody would say that. But I think in reality, when you really like break it down, CCC across the board is just probably the best team overall over in that area. But we're not talking about CCC right now. We're talking about Largo, and Largo is they're doing well this year. And hey, man, keep killing it, coaches and players, and hope to see you guys go deep in the playoffs.
Hey, Largo fans, comment and tell us what you think. You see the comment section down there. Drop it in the comments. Tell us what you think.
Preston, in today's player shout out, we're going to head back to South Florida. I've been doing a lot of 2025 prospect evals over the past few weeks for the colleges, breaking out game film, and obviously we spoke about the Gulliver Prep senior prospect, the cornerback, but they have a junior linebacker that just at the high school level, I get really excited about these kind of players. This kid is all over the field. He's an undersized linebacker in high school. The kid's going to project as maybe a safety / cornerback. But this kid, man, I tell you right now, he does it all. We're going to take a look at his video real quick. And this kid, like I say, this kid does really everything. Sorry about that. Does everything. So we're going to take a look at this right here. And this is Roderick Boynton, 5'10", 185 out of Gulliver Prep. Just always around the wall. Plays with a lot of energy. Just great motor. Very smart player. Just love this kid at the high school level. And again, he is a junior. And but yep, just wanted to introduce him to the scene today. They'll be coming up to Tampa here in a few weeks. And this will certainly be one of the kids that's going to be making plays. Just very impressive. This kid's Balin Jesuit. Somerset right here. But yeah, just each and every game, I mean, this kid's flashing all over the field, making plays in coverage, in the backfield, throwing for loss, just very tough. You see right there, throwing for loss. But just a really, really great high school player down in South Florida. Will be a solid big-time prospect coming up for the class of 2025. And I just wanted to introduce him to the Big County audience today. And again, this is Roderick Boynton out of Gulliver Prep.
All right. It is shout out time, and we're going to shout out a Robinson Knight. Matter of fact, I'm going to shut up and let my man, Matt, you shout out this Robinson Knight. You like this kid. You send it over. You say, hey, we got to show him a little love. Love him up, my man.
My boy Eric Archfield, EJ Archfield is what we call him. Big EJ. Kid 6'4", 195. I saw him putting work in all summer long over at Jensen's quarterback camp. So I got to see him working, and it's good to see their, to be honest with you, once when he told me he was Robinson's quarterback, and the quarterback coach said he should be like a 3-4 star in his eyes, I was like, well, first off, I was like, well, Robinson, I was super interested in them this year because of the coach. They got the new coach from Wharton. He started kind of putting his moves together, got some really key players to come over there. And so now we're looking back at some of their players and how their season's gone pretty good. They're 6-2 right now. And when you look at their quarterback, I mean, what else could you ask for? A 6'4", 195 pounds. The kid can run. So, I mean, he's that dual threat for you. I'm going to pull up some of his stats just to kind of see how he's been doing. But essentially, they're getting their wins. When you actually look at their district, they actually have a tough district. Blake right now, and you have Tampa Catholic in their district. And the thing about their district, when we first started talking about them, I think we were all kind of like, Tampa Catholic's just going to run this district. They probably have on paper one of the better team. But when you look back towards the end of the season, Blake, they actually have the better record. However, Robinson's right there with them. And, Blake is 7-1, Robinson 6-2. I wanted to see if they actually play each other, Blake and Robinson, because that would essentially be one of their bigger games of the season to really get it going.
Yeah, they're in the same district, so they'd have to. It's a district game.
Yeah. So, Preston, tell me a little bit about Robinson High School in Tampa, Florida. This year has definitely been an exciting year at that school.
So they've gone through some down years, all right? And for folks who are not familiar with the history of Robinson High School, they've had one of the most historic programs in the Hillsborough County area for just to say a long time. Some of the best players. And if you start saying Robinson, the top name is going to come. It's going to probably be Desmond Allison. And Desmond Allison was a 3-sport all-state player in football, basketball, and track all in the same year. Prematurely left this earth, so RIP to Des. However, he was the benchmark for whatever you thought Robinson football was. He did everything. He was a 6'6" point guard. He was a freaking 6'6" wide receiver. He ran 4 different events in track. And then you started talking about Zane Gilmore, and then Zane Gilmore Jr. came behind him, and Byron Pringle, who had a stint in the league, and Frankie Williams, and Tank Johnson. And I mean, the list just goes on and on of guys who played at Robinson High School. And Robinson historically has been one of those spots. Now, had some down years. Here comes Mike Williams. Mike Williams, the new head coach, is a South Tampa guy, played at Plant High School. Mike Williams, a USC legend, okay? We had our battles in college. I'm a Notre Dame guy. I played against Mike for, I think, 3 seasons. I'm 5'10", 5'11" on game day. Mike is a good 6'4", and he looks all of 6'4". So Mike probably got the best of us in some of those games. However, here comes Mike, who did his thing for 2 seasons at Wharton, bringing Wharton out the mud, okay? Now he's over Robinson. Robinson is 6'2". So that philosophy and that culture that he's building at Robinson is coming from his Plant days, his USC days, and his success at Wharton. So it's no wonder why that Robinson is in the thick of the district championship over there. And you're talking about EJ, and I want to look at EJ's numbers, and they're super impressive. EJ right now is just a shy under 60% completion rating for this season. He's had games where he's thrown for 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, multiple 5-touchdown games. He's averaging almost 17 yards per completion, okay? 1,600 yards, 20 touchdowns. Okay, Robinson, it was hard for Robinson to produce 20 touchdowns in a season a year ago. This kid right now is responsible for 20 by himself through the air. So big shout out. This is a good one on you, Matt. So I appreciate the lead. EJ is a really good quarterback, and you see that he has some places of improvement. He's going to definitely, those mechanic and technical stuff that he's improving on. And it's not a surprise that he's thrown for 20 freaking touchdowns this season already. So that's a good call by you, my man.
Yeah, Preston, they got a nice little 2025 class coming together over there. Take a look. Jesse Harold and Tamez Young will be 2 other young kids that will begin to hit the radar for them. And so no, that's an exciting situation that they got going over there. And so yeah, good eye, Matt. That's good stuff right there.
When it comes to coaching, when you think about a program, it's so important. And Mike Williams just has he has that. He's that guy. He's like him when it comes to coaching. What he did over at Wharton, in my opinion, he kind of put Wharton on the map. And Wharton is still like seeing a lot of success from his coaching and building their program up. And now him being there, I know that was a little controversy, because he's such a good coach. A lot of kids wanted to follow him and go with him to continue playing under him. And one of the players, Arquise Parks, man, he's probably, going to be one of your top 10 receivers in the county. Great receiver. He's kind of like a Tyler Williams with Sumner. This kid, Arquise Parks, he's already has, I think he has 8 touchdowns for the season, if I'm not mistaken. But it just goes to show the coaching, when you got kids like him that leave their school to go to where you're at because they're, they know that they trust you in their program. And now to see EJ, their quarterback, stepping up, he's only a junior. He's really, he's getting the pieces together. He's going to come out strong his senior year. But let's not go too far. I did some research. This Friday, they play Blake. Now we're getting back to that tangle again. So these districts, man, it really is a good year for this. There's not just blowout teams. So same thing. They beat Blake this week, Robinson versus Blake, the district game. It puts a tie, another tiebreaker where you have 2 great teams that are tied, Blake and Robinson. And Blake, I'm surprised we're not saying we got TC in the mix of that, actually, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what happened there with them, but we're going to be talking about Blake and Robinson for that district. And they're going to play this Friday, and we'll see who becomes the district champs.
So, which is fun to talk about because Tampa football is better when Robinson is good. All right. And then there's also that social economic divide at Gandy. Okay. And if people who aren't familiar with the area,
Gandy, yeah.
Plants on the north side of Gandy,
Yeah.
Robinson on the south side of Gandy. Gandy separates, let's go the appropriate term, the social economic situations on both sides. Not for everybody, but it's just how it is. And that Robinson is more like one of those, it's kind of like Plant City, to where they are on their own. Those kids go to Robinson. Those kids who grow up around Robinson, they go to Robinson. All right. It's what you look forward to doing. Just like at Plant City. You grow up in Plant City, the school you're going to, is no question about it. You're going to Plant City. So when Robinson was in their heyday, remember Plant is the second oldest high school in Hillsborough County. Hillsborough High School, Plant High School, then Jefferson. Okay. Then Robinson follows after that. So Robinson had all those kids, and Robinson was successful before we even thought about like Plant High School doing all that stuff. Plant had the olden days stuff when Hillsborough High School, all that stuff back in the olden days. But olden days, I don't even know what that post would like describe the olden days.
Hey, Tebow's mom and dad met at Plant. You know that?
Did not know.
Tebow?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, yep. Tebow's parents met at Plant, I believe.
So my point is, Robinson usually builds their program off the kids who are zoned to go to Robinson. It has always been that way. So the majority of those kids within Mike Williams' program are going to be Robinson, homegrown, south of Gandy kids. And if he just locks down that south of Gandy area, he's going to have a lot of success because those kids are going to continue to filter in to that school. So it's good stuff for Mike.
Yeah, and Preston, geographically, unless they run kids across the crosstown ferry from Pinellas, I mean, they're landlocked. If you go east, you're in the water. If you go west, you are landlocked when you are down on the south end by Robinson. So what you have there is those are your kids, and they probably do not have. It's a very unique situation, but yeah, they of any schools, they have probably the least opportunity to ever bring kids in from outside their area, because like you say, that's a heck of you can't really go anywhere. You're on the south end and you're surrounded by water on all sides. It's kind of a tough little spot to be in. So yeah, you're right. Those kids are Robinson kids, and that's the pool he's going to work with, and he's doing a good job of it so far.
Well, he's got the squad. They have a great team. They're going to go and play Blake this Friday, the 27th, for basically the district championship. So speaking of Blake, they're having a great season as well, 7-1. I'm looking at some of their players. One kid that is their quarterback, Xavier. He, I've seen him. He's like one of those players that, like, every time you go to another school, he's there. You're like, I thought you were at this school. So he's kind of transferred a couple times through his career. He started at Armwood. That's where I met him. And then he was at Sumner. And then from there, I believe he transferred to Blake. No, he went to Riverview, and then he went to Blake. So he's kind of transferred around to find his home. And I really think what he's doing has kind of been really the best for his career. And the reason why is he's a young quarterback. And here's a fun fact. I didn't know this, but now that I know him, his brother is actually Jensen from it's a stepbrother, is Jensen on Wharton. So Jackson Jensen over at Wharton is his stepbrother. So
okay.
So one thing I noticed is that he's always kind of got stuck behind, like, Aaron Turner, for example, at Riverview. He got at Armwood, he was stuck behind Murph, for example. There was really not much playing time for him. So he's been just kind of, and then same thing at Sumner, he was behind Greg. So he hasn't really had the opportunity to really shine. And I've seen him work, man. That kid can work. Sometimes the stereotype of like size and like maybe, stuff like that, we might not think a player is as good as they really are. And, he's had to kind of stand up against these like incredible quarterbacks. But now Blake's got him. I believe it's his junior year. I'd have to double check. It might be his senior year. But it seems like he's shining a little bit over there. They have their running back, Leon Haynes. We've talked about him. Derek cut some film for him. They got Deshaun Neal. He's an athlete. He's got over, averaging over 85 yards a game. So they got a strong little team over there. And it seems like they've done a little bit of rebuilding over at Blake. I know last year they were getting a little bit of success, and they wanted to hear us talk about them a little bit more. Now we're talking about them, and now they're at the top of their district, and they're going in to play another great team this Friday. So can Blake, hold off a Robinson that's really meshed together over this whole season, and now they're really coming together. So that's going to be a big battle between the two teams. And so all the districts really have come down to these last 2 weeks. Really this next week, honestly, if you look at it, they're all playing and they all mean something big. So I hope all these teams have their nose in video and they're watching film. And they're strategizing for this Friday night, because it's a win-win for a lot of teams this week.
So here's what's crazy. We were talking about Robinson, is that Mike Williams and I, we did not know each other in high school. All right. I'm a class ahead of Mike. And I say it 100 times, Hillsborough Pride. We were the big dogs in the area. We used to play Plant for homecoming. All right. And smack on them by like 50, 60 points. So when you started mentioning like names of guys at Plant, Mike Williams' name never really popped up. We didn't know who Mike Williams. Nobody did anything against us to make us recognize anybody on Plant's team. Fast forward a year, actually 2 years. Now Mike gets to USC. All right, Mike's a freshman now. I'm in my second or third year at Notre Dame, and this cat from Tampa that I'm hearing about, cat from Tampa at USC. Who was that?
Dominated as a freshman.
Dude, unreal. So Mike's setting records at SC, and obviously is I'm a lot of pride at Tampa pride, homeboy, but he's also a Trojan, which, we got to have a little bit of rivalry. But he's a Tampa cat, which comes before that Notre Dame USC rivalry, and he's doing his thing. So no, we talked to each other off, after the games. Mike we may have lost to for 3 years, because at that point they had Mike Williams, they had Jared. My gosh, Reggie Bush. They had Matt Leinart. USC was freaking ridiculous back then.
USC, yes, yep.
Yeah, USC was ridiculous back then. But Mike was phenomenal in college.
Yep.
And we didn't even know each other for real in high school. We didn't know each other in college. Just shook hands. Hey, Tampa kid, blah, blah, blah. Me and Mike really didn't start building a relationship until he actually became the head coach at Wharton. And that's crazy. So ever since then, those kind of that our careers kind of collided, but never really did collide. And I think I became a bigger Mike Williams fan just off his career and then what he's done now with coaching. So great stuff for Mike. I'm glad Robinson's successful. I'm glad that Blake is doing big things. So this is a really good year. And a credit to FHSAA and anybody else who was involved in the reclassification and redistricting, because it has worked. The playoff system is working, and we're getting, like you said, Matt, we got all these games now that matter.
Yeah.
That means something. Something is working correctly. All right. I am here with the voice of the Titans. This is Coach Jay Tillman. And if you've never been to a Tampa Bay Tech home game in the last 3 years, you're doing yourself a disservice, because the man behind the mic is almost becoming legendary. If the Titans are winning or losing, whichever the case, they're going to be a show. They're going to always put on a show at Tech. However, there's an added benefit of having Coach Tillman on the mic. Coach Tillman, say hello to the people.
Man, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Coach J in the building. How y'all doing?
Now, so I've been to a lot of stadiums and have enjoyed my time and have enjoyed the hospitality of a lot of different stadiums. However, there's nothing like hearing you throughout the game on the mic at Tampa Bay Tech. First of all, who opened the doors to you and said, you know what, Tillman, you may be great on the mic for us at Tech? How did all that come about?
All right, so it started at Skyway. I'll say that. I coached for the Jags for 10 years, and I would always do the commentating at the games at Skyway, because, in the youth football, we don't have a band. It isn't any dance rest, nothing like that. We got the cheerleader, and, they keep us live, but it used to get kind of a little melancholy or whatever. So I started commentating the Jags games, and we used to be live. I mean, I can remember one night we played West Tampa, and it was standing room only. I mean, if you ever been to a Jag game, the little TBJ song, I did that. So whenever the Jags score a touchdown, I'm no longer with the Jags, still a friend of the program, still love TBJ. So anytime the Jags score a touchdown, you hear my voice doing the TBJ song. So Deputy Richards, who's at Tampa Bay Tech, used to have to cover the youth football games. And Tech had a game against somebody coming up, and they was like, man, we need an announcer because this is going to be a big game, and we need somebody to keep us hyped. So through working with the Boys and Girls Club, I know him personally. He reached out to me. He was like, hey, man, I need you at Tech tonight to commentate the game. And I was like, Tampa Bay Tech? He's like, yeah. So I was like, man, I'm there. And I did it that one night, and Miss Woody won't turn me loose. I love her to death. She won't turn me loose. Like, it just, from that night on, she told me, you are my announcer. Don't do nothing else on Fridays. So that's just how that went.
Okay. All right. Now, she kind of opened the floodgates up for you, and it almost seems like there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries. I obviously you do a good job maybe staying between the lines, but you be all over the place, man. And culturally, it's funny as hell. Tell me how that go.
Appreciate that. Man, well, I work with children. I've been working at the Boys and Girls Club since 1999, graduated from Tech out of childcare. And I'm still working with kids to this day. And I'm around these kids all day long, so I hear funny stuff from them all the time. So all I'm doing is just giving back. For me, Friday nights is an opportunity for me to give back to the kids the funny stuff that I hear from them all week, and then kind of like highlight the stuff that the parents go through. Like the kids that wear 90 hoodies in 90-degree weather, and then they'll wear shorts when it's cold. Every parent hate that, but we don't ever get an opportunity where we get together and talk about it. Well, hell, we sitting here watching this football game. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? In front of their peers, in front of everybody. And then on the backside of that, you got to think about it. The parents are the unsung heroes of all of these games, because it's the parents who make it to to all the youth games, all the youth competitions, all the youth practices to get them ready to be on a level to play high school football. So by the time they get to high school football, the parents are deserving of a good time watching their kid play. Yeah, when watching them play since he was 3. Now most of them 14, 16, 18, they need to enjoy themselves too. So I just want to, celebrate the parents, make sure they enjoy themselves, make it a fun family environment. Because in all that, it ain't been no slip over cuss words. And, I push the issue. I talk about what we talk about, but I keep it PG-13 so grandma can laugh as well as the children can laugh. You get what I'm saying? It needs to be a family environment. It needs to be a family environment.
When you on the mic, are you primarily talking to the tech side, or are you opening this up to where you trying to get the folks on the other side to engage also?
Man, coaching as long as I've been coaching. I know kids who play for pretty much every high school team in Hillsborough County. Last week we had Jesuit. My homeboy Rocky, his son Mike played for Jesuit. So and Trey over there. So I know a lot of the kids that's on the other side. I'm gonna shout out all my kids regardless. You got Sincere, he was at Tech, he left and went to Hillsborough. Then my nephew was him, Deshaun Spoon. So when they come back on the other side, I still give them love that I will give them. They was at the Jags with us, so I'm gonna still give them the same love. It don't change. And it's not just about the Titans. Now when you come to 64-10, you are being welcome to the crib. You are our guest. So we gonna treat you with a certain level of, hey, how you doing? And I might, I'm gonna keep it cordial. Even if we lose, we lost the game last week. It wasn't I was a little humble because I was like, dang, I wanted to beat these people. But at the same time, I'm gonna announce every touchdown. I'm gonna announce every turnover. I'm gonna talk about every first down. We played Newsom last year, and they had a cat that was just getting loose. And I'm talking about, I hollered at him the whole game. Now, the scoreboard didn't show that they were winning, but even if you look at it, even in the blowout, I never say Tampa Bay Tech such and such, the other team 0. It's not about that. It's about celebrating those kids that's on the field, that's putting the work in, the student athletes who go to class, and they've earned the right to be out here competing for us on Friday nights. So I'm going to celebrate all the children. It's just that if you happen to go to Tech and Tech happen to win, it's going to be a lot more fun on the Tech side, But I thank everybody for coming out every game. I give them an opportunity to make noise to show their school spirit. I'm going to say Tech 900 times. If we ain't doing nothing that great, I might just say it one time, just to let you know where you at, Win, lose, or draw, we still going to holler at it, We're going to holler back, Titan pride.
Is there... I like it. Is there a parallel with being the voice of the Titans and being a youth coach? Loaded question in a sense, but can you draw a parallel with being the voice of the Titans and being a youth coach?
I brought my own organization out. I think it was 2 games ago, if I am mistaken. A lot of the kids come on the field pregame and see the boys working and warming up. And they saw the interaction with me and a lot of my former players. I mean, if you actually pull up Tech roster, I've coached. I've watched Rod Gaynor play football since he was 8 years old. I watched Red Nose Johnny Tyson play football since he was 8 years old. Both of the Stroud brothers. That's just to name a few off my head. You get what I'm saying? So when I come out there on Friday nights before the game starts, I'm gonna go holler at my boys, and we have our own personal, that we do before the game. Let them know, what I'm talking about. Be safe, do your thing, let's go. So it does my heart well to see Red Nose carrying the GPA he's carrying, playing at the level he's playing, doing what he's always been able to do, play football at a high level. So the parallel for me is it's the same mission. I use football as a tool to get their attention, to get them to be able to reach the goals that they set for themselves. If you're playing football for plastic trophies, you're doing it for the wrong reason. My last season, just this season, I went 3-6, but that was my first year with the new organization, first year players. They had to learn the game. They got competitive at the end. I lost 5 games by less than 2 points. So to me, you get what I'm saying? That's not really an L. Now you give me a chance to work the all season to get back into the beginning. we're going to get back to it. I win a lot in youth football. You know, the Jags were not known for losing. So my son aged out. He's now at Tech. He plays on JV. It just made sense for me to coach for convenience because I'm going to have to be at Tech. Then I got to go do the game on Thursday with my son. I'm a father on Thursdays. And then I get to go and commentate on Friday. So me coaching the Raiders is more out of convenience. The parallel, I guess, to answer the question directly is I see it as one long line, not two. So I wouldn't even call it a parallel. It's the same continuation of the same mission. I don't care. I prefer you to send your kid to Tampa Bay Tech. It's an A-rated school. Miss Woody can help care about them kids, care about our kids at that. But as long as your kid is doing positive and doing something constructive on a Friday night versus the statistics that show what these other kids is doing, because I got to see them. Again, I work for the Boys and Girls Club, so I see the numbers. So to me, it's not a parallel. It's the same mission. If you can go from youth football to playing in high school and you're continuing what you've been taught to do, what you say you love to do, anything that you say you love to do should be easy to get done. You get what I'm saying? So it's not a parallel. It's just a continuation for me.
Love it.
It's bigger than the game. It's about them churn. I care about them churn. I don't care nothing about the game.
So you're a 98 kid.
Right.
Tech wasn't the greatest in 98.
First of all, see, what you're not going to do is talk about Tech 98. We had KJ and them boys who were 6-4 every year. Don't do that. And I was drum captain, so the band was the baddest thing in the world. I meant to get from around 64-10. Don't do that. Let's talk basketball since you want to bring it up 98 on back. You want to talk about basketball?
I played in 90. I played at Tech. I played at Tech in 98 with that dead spot at the free throw line every year. Hillsborough played at Tech every year. I was there.
Okay, so you don't do that now.
I was there.
97, I believe we ran y'all at the gym twice.
All right. So now,
okay,
hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
You ran y'all at the gym twice.
Twice. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Hillsborough. We beat y'all.
Yeah.
What? Yes. Matter of fact, let's see. Let's run it back. 96. All right. No. 96, 97. 97, we was in the state championship.
96, we had school park. Y'all didn't want no smoke.
97, we was in the state championship. Let's start there.
CJ Tice wasn't playing with y'all in 97. You don't want no smoke.
I don't know what to tell you. We was better than y'all 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Let's start there.
Where is that?
Absolutely. At Hillsborough, absolutely.
Where is that? Whatever you on, where is that? I want some. But it's Tech. Don't come. It ain't hard for me to do. I'm a Titan, boy. Don't do that. I check my resources to get back to you on that. I don't believe that shit, boy. Excuse me, Trent.
We was better than y'all.
Never.
That's fact. It ain't no opinion.
Well, I made your band walk away from me at the ninth grade. How about that then? How about that? Now, I'm going to get one on me. I made your band mark and get away from me. Y'all tried me with that. We are the Big Red. I hit y'all, Mike Jackson, don't stop till you get enough. Don't play with me.
We been the Big Red, baby. We been that.
Man, I was on y'all head. Yeah, I know Los and all them boys in your band over there, Richard and all them boys. Don't do that now. Hold on. I am from Tampa. Don't do that.
All right, so we done solved that issue. But now we move to the current, let's say the last 3 to 5 years, actually longer than that, but I'm just going to take what you've been announcing. Tech been on a real high road. They've been having a lot of success the last 3 years since you've been announcing. What has been the most enjoyable part of that ride that you've experienced since you've been announcing the game why Tech's had so much success?
The passion that them children play with. It's the passion that they play with. To be an old ball coach, for one thing, it's cool to be able to walk up and still get the head coach or get the, you know what I'm saying, to get the love. No matter how much they win or no matter how good they are, tell me the Titan that got a big head. I'm talking about when you and them boys is on the line eating everything up. We done heard Darren 100 times how Warden was gonna do this to us. We done heard 900 times about how this other team or that other team was gonna do everything to us. We took a couple of losses here and there. Irony, CJ, anybody know me and CJ, that's my brother. My nephew played for Bloomingdale. He was the starting quarterback that year. Bloomingdale had to come to Tech, and they went into the last second and won the game. Even in that loss, I'm watching the boys who play youth football with that man congratulate him on his win to end their season. So I think it's the passion and the respect for the game that these children are playing with. Because, dealing with youth football, I still deal with the youth football players. I love y'all. We openly recruiting. Come see me. But at the same time, people put the needs of individuals before the needs of the team. Okay. And I don't think that in none of the years that I've been there, and I'm looking back at it, in none of the years that I've been there, I don't think there was ever a diva on the team. Somebody who put themselves above that TBT logo. And for me, that's the most important thing, because in my opinion, they're playing football the right way. You get what I'm saying? Okay. If one don't make a tackle, one don't make a play, look at Dallas. Dallas scored a touchdown. It's 900 handshakes before he get back to the sideline. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter who doing what. It's just they play as a unit. And I think that's the most enjoyable thing. So watch them boys stay humble and go after it. You know what I'm saying? Then I've been down a couple of times. Then I had to fight back a couple of times. Hell, we had 4 turnovers, and it was down 21-7 at half last week and only lost by 7 points. I don't care where you at. You have 4 touchdowns in the game. You don't lose by 7. 4 turnovers in the game. You don't lose by 7. So it's their resilience, the way they play the game, the fact that they stay humble. That's what the most impressive thing for me is, dealing with these Tampa Bay Titans that we're watching right now. They've been humble for the last 3 years, even though in the midst of them last 3 years, look at their regular season record. Look at how many games Robinson's staff has actually won. And even with them, I DJ as well. The man still let me come DJ his birthday party for one of his coaches. So it's not even like they're not too good to still be regular folk. And I think that's really important, because sometimes people win and their success go to their head, and we better. We're not doing that. We winners. So I think the fact that they still play humble football, that's what's most impressive to me.
All right, last question. You got to give it a little thought. Your top 5 Titans ever that you've seen
on the football field.
On the field.
You got to start with KG. You got to start with KG.
I like it.
Spanky Blakely.
Okay.
Let me see here. Lynn, you can't take away from that from Lynn. He was that guy. You got to say Rod Gannon, because I've been a fan of Rod since forever. You know what I'm saying? So even as a freshman, he came out there, he was getting it. Last year's entire D-line, you and the crew, I'm talking about the entire D-line, came in, all them boys. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm going to use that as one, but I'm talking about all 4 of them. You get what I'm saying? That's 4. Johnny Tyson. Both of them.
Okay.
Johnny Tyson won a Golden Helmet Award when he was there in 97. I done seen that boy play with bruised ribs in the rain, still coming across the middle, catching balls. The same retarded intensity that number 8, his son played with, his daddy played with. Hell, Spike's son, Tommy Covington, was a dog. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of dogs that went through David, Super Dave, Penix. Man, it's too many to just give you 5. Now, it's too many to just give you 5. Then we're going to post to that. I'm going to have to Google, do some research, carry the tool, look at their schedule and see what their class schedule was like. You know what I'm saying? To break it down. Some of them might have had home ec one semester or something, and they didn't really have a lot of homework stress. It's too many Titans to just say 5, because it done been some. We've been blessed.
Yes.
We've been blessed. Yeah, we've been blessed, bro. It's too many Titans that I deal with on that level. Yeah, I can tell you about Titans that nobody want to talk about, like Ducey. You find anybody who played from 95 or 96 to 98, ask them how Ducey used to come out that bike field.
Okay.
But him and Nego just couldn't get along, you know what I'm saying? So that just really it's too many Titans, but I done seen a lot of them at 64-10.
All right, well, your homework gonna be, I need a list with 5 names. And we're gonna double back with it. You can only give me 5. That we gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it via text. I'm gonna hit you in a few days. I'm gonna ask if you did your homework. You got to give me 5.
Well, since I'm a Titan and it's gonna go public, I'm gonna go ahead and gracefully buy out of that homework assignment right now and say my dog ate that. My dog ate that homework because you're not gonna have me mess around and I think I done missed 2 minutes already just sitting there talking to you about it. You ain't gonna have them looking at me going, oh, you ain't saying my name. No, won't have me no. Won't do me bad. Won't do me bad. I mean, I'm a Titan. I love all of them. Yeah, it's too many Titans that did great things. As long as it's 6-10, I'm in.
Name drop. Go ahead and give it final goodbyes. Shout out who you need to shout out, man. Talk to us.
6410 as a record label and a crew. Shout out to you. Anything Titan Pride, man. I coach 10U. If you got a 9 to 10-year-old kid, you want them to learn accountability, do it the right way. On Facebook, Jay Scudder, El Capitan. I'm the head coach of the 10U squad, vice president of the organization, man. Send them children to me so I can hold them accountable and make sure they do it the right way. It ain't about favoritism. It ain't about none of that stuff. It's about these children getting the opportunity to shine. Other than that, man, I'd like to thank Miss Woody and everybody at the staff. Appreciate y'all good folks for reaching out to me. We got Armwood Friday if you ain't doing nothing. We got Armwood Friday if you ain't doing nothing. If y'all want to hear what he talking about, if y'all think he playing, man, 6410, we rocking again. Come on, let your boy at the crib. It's going down.
My man, appreciate your time, baby.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Stay blessed. I'll get with you.
Yes, sir.
All righty.
So we're going to stay in the South Florida area and pop over to Cardinal Newman High School for our second sleeper. So Coach Daniels down there has a 6'5" listed, 270-pound two-way lineman named Braden Chisholm. He's had a very good year. They play against top-notch competition, each and every game down there. We're going to take a look at Braden in action, but just really good frame. I think college coaches will look at this kid and project him as a center guard potentially, but we're going to take a look at Braden in action right here. Him against Miami Pace right there. This against Delray Atlantic. Really good looking kid, both sides of the ball. Pass protection real nice. He is on defense, fighting through for the sack. Just having a really solid year. Anyway, just a real solid two-way player with size, against 6'5", has good grades. I would expect some action to start picking up on Braden's recruitment, but very good player down at, in South Florida at Cardinal Newman High School. Yeah, Preston, I mean, you want to know about a sleeper prospect or a player to upgrade. In my opinion, and we talked about this kid when they come up to Carrollwood Day School here, in a week or two to close out the season. But Gulliver Prep, man, they've got a cornerback over there who has really good size, and this kid's over 6 foot, very physical, can play safety. He also drops down the corner, just shuts it down. I mean, really hadn't had a lot of big plays on him all year. So we're going to take a look at his film real quick. And I really like this kid. I mean, he's going up against some top competition right here. Just watch his play right here athletically. I mean, he plays a high point right here. Just very impressive. I mean, look at that. And so, yeah, I'm just super impressed. We're going to watch a minute of this kid's highlights. So. So, yeah, just super impressed with this kid. Look forward to him coming up to Tampa here in a few weeks. I think he'll be definitely a kid to keep an eye on. But, yeah, I mean, here we've got a senior cornerback prospect with size, listed 6'2", just shutting it down south, going against some top-notch competition. Plays well in coverage and just really comes up and run support as needed. And just a really good-looking kid. I think this kid will end up being a Division I kid very soon. I think he'll start popping some offers. But, yeah, Coach Sims at Gulliver Prep, this is one of his kids right here.
All right, Matt. New segment. We'll call it Rapid Ranking.
Oh,
all right, I'll give you. Yeah, you're on the spot.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you 6 schools. I'll give you 6 random schools. Of those 6 random schools, you rank in decreasing order.
Okay.
Who you like in that spot, and a quick one-liner why you like that team.
Okay.
All right. So I'll give you 6. You start at number 6, work your way down to number 1, and I'll give you 35 seconds.
Man, this is challenging. This is a tough one. This one. But let's go.
All right, here we go. Here go your list of schools.
Okay.
You got Wiregrass Ranch, Lake Gibson, Cypress Creek, Largo, Auburndale, Port Charlotte.
All right.
Got your list?
I got my list. I think I have the top 3, and I could throw these bottom ones. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a second while I set my timer up. You get your ranking order. Get it in your head real quick. I'm gonna set my timer up.
All right.
All right, here we go. You got 35 seconds on the clock, and start at number 6. Go.
All right, number 6. We're gonna go with Port Charlotte. All right. Number 5. I'm going to put this is a tough ranking, but we'll go ahead and put Lake Gibson at number 5, even though they're a tough team. Some of these other teams I feel like are having a little bit better schedule, better success. At number 4, I want to go ahead and toss Auburndale in there. Seem like they're having a lot of success. And then I want to go ahead and put Largo. Largo is doing really well. We talked about them earlier. And then at the top of that, I want to try to get I'm going to put Wiregrass as number 2 and Cypress Creek as number 1 right now. Cypress Creek have been looking incredible. They're undefeated still. They have a really great quarterback. Seems like he's doing bringing the team together. Defense looks really strong when we look at film. So, yeah, I'm going to put Cypress Creek as number 1. But to be honest with you, I really like Wiregrass Ranch. I only put them at number 2 because they did have, they don't have quite as a winning schedule as Cypress Creek. But, man, when we talk about Wiregrass Ranch, and this is kind of off the ranking, but just to talk about them, pretty impressive what Luke Knight's doing over there. And I know if Luke Knight, man, he's going to be able to go down in history in the Tampa Bay area really, because he has a state championship ring with Jesuit, goes, and he already could graduate high school and be like, wow, I had such a great high school career. But he's over at Wiregrass making moves. He has like 2,000 yards already, quarterback. And he's competing this week to beat a Pasco County receiving passing yard record. And he's projected to beat that record this week. And so he is now, and I have all faith in Luke, and I really believe he's gonna break that record this week, and now he's gonna look back when he's like 35 years old, 45 years old, or whatever, talking to his kids like, man, I won a state championship. I set the record. And, like, to me, when he left Jesuit and Jesuit, they have a really great quarterback, Will Griffin. I was always kind of curious what was going to happen with Luke, having all that success, his sophomore year. So I'm glad to see him be able to like just come back his senior year and just and create more history for himself, in Hillsborough County and now in Pasco County, So hats off to Luke, man. I just because I ranked y'all number 2 doesn't mean I don't like y'all a lot. So good luck this week, man. Break that record. I'm excited to watch you play in college, and I think you're going to do some historical stuff in college as well. So,
all right, here we go. All right, I'm going to give you my 6. Here we go. At number 6, we're going Lake Gibson. All right, Lake Gibson, number 6. I'm glad they're having more success. They've had a slew of different coaches coming in and out of those doors, but Lake Gibson, you're fitting within this random selection. You're going at number 6. Number 5, we're going Cypress Creek. Undefeated, but have not played the same schedule some of these other teams have played. So Cypress Creek at number 5. Keep doing your thing, Yotes. All right, number 4, Wiregrass Ranch. Luke Knight has the boys rolling. Coach Cantor, much success. Luke, go break all those records. All right, number 3, Port Charlotte, down in Charlotte County. The Pirates are a fantastic team, a lot of consistency. Number 2, Largo, probably the top 3 team in Pinellas County. All depends on who you ask. They could be number 1, they could be 2 or 3. So we're going Largo number 2, and Auburndale and Polk County. Polk County, one of the toughest counties to win football games in the area. And Auburndale sitting at 1 loss in the season. I like Auburndale from that random selection. I like them at number 1.
That's a great list.
Boom. All right, Matt, last segment of the show. It's mailbag time. This is the one that's probably the most popular. Our fans like to toss out stuff all the time, and we'll address the best one. So over the weekend or Monday, whichever day it goes up, but just pay attention to BCP socials. You'll see it. On Instagram, we'll ask the mailbag, hey, drop in your best question or your bold statement, and we'll address the best ones. Well, we had about a good 15, 20 on this one. And the best 2, here we go. Matt, we'll toss this one out first. This is to you. Durant beats Riverview! !
Well, first off, man, having to say what team's gonna win, man. You guys gotta be nice to me when I get out there. If I show up to your game, you'll be like, Flex, you said they were gonna win. No, I'm just joking. No, it's just always fun picking a team who I think is gonna win. So the mailbag was Durant's gonna beat Riverview. So here's my opinion. They both are great teams. This is a big game for both teams. So I would assume if both teams are healthy, it's going to be an all-out battle. Here's the thing about Durant. I don't think that Durant can't beat them. I think Durant's a strong enough team to go to beat Riverview. What I think, though, is Riverview at home, as any team at home, you got all your band, you got all your fans with you. You get that extra layer of that confidence. And so Durant now having to go to Riverview, a home game, that's going to make it challenging to go into their house and beat them. So if I had to pick who I think would win, man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I've actually said Riverview is going to win. I've had to pick Riverview winning or losing twice now. I'm 1 for 1. I said they would beat East Bay. They beat East Bay. I said that they would beat Sumner. not knowing if Greg was going to play, but either way, I said Riverview would beat them, and they didn't. So I'm 1-for-1. I think, you know what? I think Riverview is going to beat Durant. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. They're going to be at home. They're going to have, from what I know of the team, it seems like all their key players are pretty fresh. I mean, they're getting to the end of the season. One thing I would say, I don't know, but I'm assuming Aaron Turner, I'm assuming he's healthy. I believe they had a bye week this past week. Let's see. No, they played Gaither. No, wait, I'm sorry, Riverview. I think Riverview had a bye week this past week, if I'm not mistaken, or a little easier game. But when I watched the highlights on the Sumner game and Aaron, man, I actually noticed some of the receivers and running backs were coming and playing quarterback. So they really roughed them up. Sumner's, line was really intense that game. So assuming Aaron's fresh, ready to go, he's got his rest, he's going to be at 100% this week. I think Riverview can beat Durant, but like I said, that's a tough one because Durant has looked really good this year. They're 7-2. They're trying to win the district. They really are. And I know Riverview is too. So, like I said, if I had to pick a team, I probably would say Riverview being the home team. I think that they're going to have that home field advantage and get the win. But man, it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think Durant's going to come in there and just beat them like Sumner did. I think this game's going to kind of come down more towards the end of the game. And if whoever team can stay healthy throughout the game is going to get the W in that fourth quarter. I think it's going to come down to that fourth quarter. What do you think?
Quick note. These teams are very similar. They both are very balanced in both halves of the game. However, here's what I see is that Durant is scoring under 4 points in the third quarter, while Riverview is scoring about 10 points in the third quarter. But then it flips in the fourth quarter. Durant comes on in the last 12 minutes, scoring almost 9 points in the fourth quarter, with Riverview scoring under 3 points in the fourth quarter. What's crazy is both of these teams are averaging the same amount of points per game. Durant at 33.2, Riverview at 33.1. Okay? These teams statistically are much of the same. Now, you do have the common opponent, which is Sumner. Greg played against Riverview. You saw it was an ugly game for Riverview. Greg did not play against Durant. Durant beat Sumner. Okay? So, you got to kind of cancel those out because it's not apples to apples. I think that I may have to lean with you in saying that home field advantage could be the equalizer for Riverview. All right. So note to Durant fans, you got to travel thick, get there early, tailgate, have a ball, do your Durant thing. Make sure you fill those stands at Riverview because they're going to need you. The team's going to need your support. It should be a really good game. Aaron Turner needs to be healthy for Riverview. And then Durant should bounce back from the loss against Gaither. So you're looking at a vengeful Durant team. You're looking for a very hungry Riverview team, a team that hasn't had a lot of success over the years, and they're at home. And it's crazy to think that we're talking about Riverview and Durant. So this is good. This is really good football. And yet again, things are working with the scheduling. Things are working with the FHA, with the districting. So credit to all those people involved. Yeah. All right, mailbag question number 2. Everyone is sleeping on the R, and the R stands for Robinson. Yes, they are. Everybody's sleeping on Robinson. You know why? Because Robinson hasn't been very good over the years. But now Robinson is 6-2 team. So I think folks are waking up. The remedy to having people sleep on you is to win games. So when those years you're not winning games, nobody's going to pay attention to you. When you start winning games, people will start talking about you. So yes, people were sleeping on the R. I think they're waking up now. Robinson is a 6-2 team with a really good quarterback, with a motivated head coach, with a community that revolves around that school and is very involved. Robinson will be in good shape. So yes, everybody probably was sleeping on the R. Win games, keep winning, have a good playoff run, all that'll stop.
Yeah, they get to really show off this week, and they're going to play Blake. It's a big game. If they get that win, they're district champions, and uh, because of that, they're going to get more light in general. They're going to get the notoriety of being the champion, their district champs, which is always a good thing. I mean, I know these schools, you go by some of their award cases and stuff, and they really hold that high. I'm a district champ, and which is great. I mean, it like we're seeing this year that whoever comes out as district champs this year, man, they had to go through the war to get in all the districts. It's been a battle between all of them, so it's exciting to see.
Keep rocking, Robinson.
Let's go, Robinson. Let's go.
All right, for everybody else, it's been a good show. Matt, let's get out of here. We'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll see you guys next week. Keep sending us the mailbag questions. Also, if you know any players that just maybe not be getting on the light, make sure you inbox us, and we'd like to custom fill for them and discover these players that we might not be seeing. So make sure you guys tune in each week. We're going to shout you guys out, shout your teams out, and continue grinding, man. You guys take care. Have another great week.